Tavearn Brawler here is a half-orc who used to make a living from, well, fighting in taverns, making money from fighting, perhaps taking part in some illicit bouts in the underground fight scene. This build isn't really anything new when it comes to the levels chosen and the subclasses chosen, but it's more about picking a playstyle and sticking with it. As the name suggests, we will be taking Tavearn Brawler. We won't be using strength elixirs though, so we're going to pick the half-orc race. Savage attacks will not help because I'm not using any melee weapons. I'm picking Barbarian, and that's so we can pick a Berserker later on. As for the ability points, at character creation, we've got 3 odd stats. I know that's going to hurt some of you on the inside. It even pains me a little bit, but we will be evening these stats out later. This character has taken the Potion of Everlasting Vigor, which gives a permanent +2 bonus to strength. These are the stats you should choose, even if you don't choose to drink that potion. If you do drink the potion, you can put your strength down and put your constitution up. That gives you a few more stat points to play with, but this is what we're going to go with. Wisdom at 12, just to represent the fact that he does have good senses and intuition in a fight. Intelligence, really not high. He's been beaten about the head a few too many times. Charisma at 10, fairly average, can be quite intimidating, which is also another reason we pick half-orc, because we get proficiency in intimidation. We're also going to pick athletics. This is actually essential. And perception. Again, this is to represent the fact that he's always paying attention in a fight. He's got good innate senses. The stealth and sleight of hand come from the urchin background. That's not so important. It doesn't really fit the playstyle, but then again, most of the rest of these don't either. So the background could be anything you want. So we're going to take 5 levels in Barbarian to get up to extra attack as soon as we can. And that's always a good idea if you're leveling up in a martial class. Get to level 5 first. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to pick a Berserker, which means there's no choice to make. It's mostly so we can use this in Raged Throw. We're not going to be able to use Frenzied Strike. We're not going to be using any weapons. For the first feat, as his namesake, we're going to have to take Tavearn Brawler, and we're going to put Strength up to 18. And like I said, we're going to get to level 5. This is so we can get 2 attacks in 1 turn. That's it for Barbarian. Next is going to be Rogue. I'm sure lots of you will know what subclass is going to be picked. For skill proficiencies, we want expertise in athletics. That's so we can throw people better. I'm going to take expertise in intimidation just because he is going to be fairly intimidating. The last proficiency, I suppose, is up to you, but I think we're going to go with acrobatics just in case he faces some sort of acrobatics check. Let's confirm that. We're going to take 4 levels in Rogue so we can get 1 more feat. We are going to pick Thief for the extra permanent bonus action. And the feat, going to be nice and simple. We're going to even out these odd scores. So we're going to end up with a 14 and a 16 here with Dexterity and Constitution. If you have the Potion of Everlasting Vigor, you can put the Strength down to 16. The Constitution could have been higher. And then the last 3 levels, I'm going to go for Monk, so we've got more uses of our bonus action, and so we can get unarmed attacks with our bonus action as well. We won't have many key points. We will need to short rest quite a lot. As for subclass, Way of the Upper Hand seems to work well. Considering we want to be throwing people around, tripping people up, we've got Push and Topple here, perhaps even Stagger, represents the way he fights. So those are our 12 levels. Character I'm using this on does have quite a few tadpole powers. I don't particularly care for them. What's obviously going to be very nice is Luck at the Far Realms, and Cull the Weak is going to help us through a lot of this. So I've turned off Cull the Weak because I don't want that to be part of the build really. As for items, I've tried once again to pick items that we can pick up in Act 1 or Act 2. Yes, there are some great items in Act 3. If I got to Act 3, I would definitely change some of these. The main downside to this build is that armor class is quite low, but as a barbarian, as long as we're raging, that's not the end of the world. We've got loads of hit points, we're going to have resistance to damage. Anyway, Cloak of Protection, pick this up from the Last Light Inn. Just good for keeping our armor class better than what it would be otherwise. This is essential, the Mighty Cloth, because this increases our strength score by 2 to a maximum of 20. Like I said earlier, this character's taken the Potion of Everlasting Vigor, but even without that, this would still be 20. This can also be bought in the Last Light Inn. Next up, the Gloves of Crushing. These add a +1 bonus to unarmed attack rolls. Probably not needed with Tavearn Brawler. And the unarmed attacks deal an additional 2 bludgeoning damage, so increasing our damage further. As for the boots, perhaps these are the boots that come a bit late in the game. The boots of Uninhibited Kushigo. This comes from the very end of Act 2, kind of as you enter Act 3. The wearer deals additional damage equal to the wisdom modifier, so an extra 1 damage. It's not huge, but it kind of fits the build, the theme here. The other boots I'd put on before this would be the evasive shoes, which is +1 to acrobatics and armor class, which comes from Mattis in the last light in, assuming he survives until there. For the necklace, we've got the periaptive wound closure. This is just to represent the fact that he can keep on going, and when he heals the maximum amount, so he can be drinking potions if he really needs to be. The ring of flinging, he'll be throwing some things around, but that won't be his primary source of damage. And Crusher's Ring, just so we can get around easier. The periaptive wound closure comes from Esther, Lady Esther, as just in front of the Githyanki Crash. The Ring of Flinging is in the Druid's Grove very early on, sold by Aaron. And Crusher's Ring comes from Crusher in the Goblin Camp. And Tavearn Brawler here, he doesn't like hats, they get in his way. He thinks they don't suit his facial structure, so he always leaves hats alone. And I've got no weapons equipped, because he doesn't do weapons. Now as for an elixir, I'm obviously for damage, elixir of Cloud Giant Strength would be perfect here. I'm not going to take it. I'm a little bit bored of showing builds and seeing builds that use the elixirs of Cloud Giant Strength. We're going to go for a different elixir. Still going to potentially go for a strong one. The elixir of Bloodlust I think fits his build. He does kind of like a good fight. But we're going to go with elixir of the Colossus because this helps us deal an additional 1d4 damage. It says weapons, but we'll see. It kind of makes them a bit more intimidating. And again, it's something a bit different. So we'll have one of the others start fight here. Oh, I saw some saves there. Anyway, so like I said, this build is about playstyle more than the class or the items. So we're going to enter a Frenzy, if not already in Frenzy. And he's going to go for a mixture of attacks every single turn. There's going to be one, just your average sort of unarmed attack for sure. So he's going to hit this one. Whack! 29. Not the highest. We'll see that quite a lot of this is kind of fixed damage. So the strength modifier, the wisdom modifier, the crushing blows, the extra 5 here. And we've got this plus 2d4. Although it did say weapon attacks, it does work for unarmed attacks as well. And this 1d6 is the fact we get 1d6 damage from being a monk and having unarmed attacks. So that's one type of attack he'll do. He will also try and use someone or something as an improvised melee weapon if he can. He'll also throw something. Something you might normally find in a tavern. Such as... I don't know. A bottle of milk. No. Such as boiled beholder eye stalks. Obviously. Oh, knocked them prone. It wasn't heavy enough to do any damage, but it did knock this fist prone. So although his armor class is low, he will take damage, but he's resisting it while frenzied, so it's not really much of a problem. So here we are. I might try to do something tricky, some sort of sneaky move, which is one of his monk attacks. So we can try and topple this fist here, this gauntlet, because actually if they are knocked prone, then they'll stop concentrating, which is what we really need. There we are. Doing, well, since this is a flurry of blows, doing a decent amount of damage there. Get over there. And throw him again. Probably could have carried him over. And then we're going to use... It's a bit like we're in wrestling now, isn't it? We're going to use a barrel over this guy's head. Now, most of the damage will come from just the unarmed attacks. But he's not in it for damage. He's in it for the love of the fight. This time he's going to throw a heart. He's just got a heart in his back pocket. As every tavern brawler should do. Now he sees Astarian's in a bit of trouble, so he's actually going to knock this person prone. This time he's actually got a dagger in his pocket. This will do a fair bit of damage. There we are, 24. So there's a throw. We're going to get one normal hit in. This might kill this fist. One left. So what we'll do, we'll swing this fist into this fist. Again, it's all about the style here. It's not about doing all the maximum damage. Tavearn Brawler doesn't take to locked doors. Likes to knock on them, break them open. Apparently other people don't like it. He doesn't quite understand why. It's like before on the first turn. We need to get into that frenzy. He's already used an attack when he attacked the door earlier. So one bonus action left, one attack action left. Let's throw a shield. And we're going to use someone as an improvised weapon. A bit into wrestling here. Whack! Yeah, he's got love for the sport. The average attack doesn't really bother him at all. Just a few damage. Alright, we got this dude. I'm going to throw him to knock him prone. It's always a good start. Give him a stomp on the head. Then with the bonus action, if we really want to do damage, we're going to use one of these flurry of blows. Perhaps I will use already on the ground. Let's use push. It's not going to move him further. This is now Tavearn Brawler coming into play. And then enrage, throw a book. There might be books sometimes in a tavern. I don't know, probably not. Just to try and knock this dude prone. There we are. Come tell him, show him his boss. He does like it when there's two people next to each other. Throw one into the other. So we use an improvised melee weapon attack. Throw someone. Give him an actual hit. See if there's anything else to use as an improvised weapon. Oh, there's a person here. Okay. Whack! Oh, 1 hit point short. If Call the Weak was there, that would be fine. So, as I said before, if you want to do damage, we can rely on Tavearn Brawler itself and just use our unarmed attacks. We're going to do absolutely fine. If you want to shake things up a bit, we've got these which do even more damage. And we're going to throw whatever we can to knock people prone, which can be a weapon. Again, that's going to do lots of damage. But we're looking to try and be a little bit more in the roleplay aspect. So try and find something you might find in a tavern. I bet you could find some soul coins. It's not going to do any damage, but it's going to knock someone prone. Let's knock the healer prone. Ha! And that's a critical miss, of course. There's nothing particularly special about the class selection, but it's all about finding a playstyle that you like. So if you really just want to do lots of damage, you'll forget all the improvised weapons and throwing random things. You're just going to use the elixir of Cloud Giant Strength and just use your unarmed strikes. No problem at all. So let me know what you think about the good old Tavearn Brawler builds. Whether you're bored of them, whether you absolutely love them and have one in every single run, you let me know. And what would you change about this build? Obviously, not optimal whatsoever. I don't have any of the high stat items from Act 3. I don't even have a helmet here. So thank you for watching to all the members of my channel. And hopefully, I'll catch you in the next one.